Under the leadership of What and Ryan, Jason and the others quickly arrived in front of an extremely majestic building. Jason looked up. This is a majestic and stern building about 300 meters high. On the top of the building, there are several dazzling characters, Panic Medicine City. Jason's eyes were immediately attracted by these three big characters. As soon as his eyes touched them, it was as if the land had entered the dark night in an instant. Everything around him ceased to exist, only the twinkling words with the three big words Elixir City, an inexplicable and terrifying pressure came towards me. On the side, Protector Ruyan gave a sudden drink, which woke everyone up. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Unknowingly, many people's backs were wet, completely soaked with sweat. It's better for everyone to look at the words Elixir City less. It contains an inexplicable artistic conception. Even the 8th level Emperor Spirit Master wouldn't dare to stare at it. As for you, if you look at it too much, it will leave a psychological shadow on you. What said with a smile? So terrifying? 8th level Emperor Spiritual Masters don't dare to stare at it all the time. Where are you? Everyone was surprised, like some powerful beings who left their own artistic conception in writing. This is incomparable. Normal things, because their understanding of the rules is left between the lines, so that viewers can't help but fall into it. But this usually only happens to low-level spiritual masters. After the 7th level, every spiritual master has his own understanding of the law. As for the 8th level Emperor Spiritual Master, he has even more understanding of the law. Has reached another level. Unless the laws and ways understood by the two people are extremely close, it will basically not happen that the font will make people fall into deep trouble. However, listening to Watt's story, even an 8th level Emperor Spiritual Master did not dare to stare at the three words Elixir City. So how powerful was the person who wrote these three words in understanding the law? Everyone dare not imagine it. By the way, Master what did those young men mean when they said that spiritual masters cannot become the core of the spiritual medicine master tower? At this moment, a player suddenly asked. Yes, Master what? What's the difference between inner disciples and outer disciples? Many players spoke out one after another. Even Jason and the others set their sights on What and others. Ryan gets into his body. To be honest, although when Jason first entered Spirit Do City, Elder Kevlin of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower approached him personally and promised him a place as a senior disciple, but until now, Jason still doesn't know what is the use of this senior disciple. However, from Jason's understanding, he also knew that the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower and the Spiritual Master Tower seemed to be divided into 4 different titles: Core Disciples, Senior Disciples, Inner Disciples, and Peripheral Disciples. The Senior Disciples seemed to be it's an important title. What looked at the crowd with a smile and said, "Our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower is the same as the Spiritual Master Tower." The disciples are divided into 4 levels: Core Disciples, Senior Disciples, Inner Disciples, and Peripheral Disciples. Each level has its own place in the Spiritual Medicine City. The benefits you can enjoy are all different. As for the specific differences, you will have to wait and find out for yourself after you report. What the group of people just said, that the spiritual master cannot become the core of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, means that in our case, in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, only the Spiritual Medicine Master can become the top core disciple. Like a spiritual master, no matter how young he is, he can only become a senior disciple at most. What? As soon as What said these words, some players suddenly, he couldn't help being surprised, and even Jason was stunned. A group of people all set their eyes on Leonardo and Sophia, who were in the group. Among the players who joined the Elixir Master Tower this time, except for Jason and Melting Saint, who are senior disciples, and Leonardo, Sophia, Temujin, and Cheno, who are inner disciples, the rest of the players are only peripheral disciples. Just from the title, everyone knows that this core disciple is definitely extremely difficult to achieve, and the vast majority of the disciples are just peripheral disciples. They are separated from the core disciples by inner disciples and senior disciples, so although the players were surprised, they didn't think it was too much. They also know that with their talents and strength, there is basically no hope of becoming a core disciple, so it doesn't matter if they have a chance, but Leonardo and Sophia are different. In the mainland elite competition, both of them showed amazing talents. When Elder Tim of the Spiritual Master Tower invited them, he also promised the status of senior disciples. In other words, if they choose the Spiritual Master Tower, they have every hope of becoming the core disciples of the Spiritual Master Tower in the future, but they chose to enter the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower instead. They are not elixir masters. No matter how hard they try, they are probably only senior disciples and cannot become core disciples. For them, choosing the Elixir Master Tower may be an extremely wrong choice. However, when those players turned their attention to Leonardo and Sophia, they suddenly discovered that Leonardo and Sophia looked calm and did not feel the slightest concern because of what said earlier. Surprise and regret. Haha, everyone seeing everyone's expressions, what couldn't help but laugh. In our Elixir Master Tower, although you cannot become core disciples, as long as you really have the talent, you will be promoted when the time comes. 8th level Imperial Spirit Masters can choose to become the guardians of our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, and you can also have the same rights as the core disciples. However, after becoming the guardians, you will not have the opportunity to inherit the leadership of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower like the core disciples. However, some of the people present may come from some big forces. Our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower will not care about this, but once they become the core disciples of our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, then they will have to act entirely in the interests of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. First of all, in fact, there are many people from some big forces. Between the core disciples and the guardians, there are not a few who choose the guardians. And our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower also has many advantages over the Spiritual Master Tower. As for you can see for yourself what the specific content is. Generally speaking, as long as you have talent and strength, you will never suffer any disadvantages by joining our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Listening to what's narration, everyone present said this. It suddenly dawned on me that Jason and the others came from a small place like the northwest of the mainland. For countless years, few Yokai had been able to join the Elixir Medicine Tower, so naturally they didn't understand these rules. And like Leonardo and Sophia, who came from the Saran Empire and the Wei Yao Empire among the 4 major empires on the mainland, they may have had a certain understanding of the situation in the Spiritual Master Tower and the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower before joining. Understand, after hearing what Master What said before, this is the reason why I was not surprised at all. By the way, Master What, if we want to become inner disciples, what are the conditions, and what are the conditions for becoming senior disciples? Some players couldn't help but ask. I shouldn't have said these things to you, but since you have asked, I will tell you briefly. In our Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, if you want to become an inner disciple or a spiritual master, you must achieve to become a 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master. A Spiritual Medicine Master must reach the 5th level Senior Spiritual Medicine Master. To become a high-level disciple, a Spiritual Master must reach the 7th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Master level. For a Spiritual Medicine Master, he must reach the 6th level Spiritual Medicine Master. A low-level Elixir Master. If a Spiritual Master wants to become a Protector, he must reach the 8th level low-level Elixir Master before he is eligible to apply. As for the core disciples, he must reach the 7th level low-level Elixir Emperor Master before he can be qualified. These are just the most basic hard conditions. Only those who meet these conditions are eligible to apply. Following What's introduction, many players present were astonished. It's okay for spiritual masters. It's not too surprising that only those who have become an 8th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master can apply to become a Protector. However, a Spiritual Medicine Master must reach the 7th level low-level Spiritual Medicine Emperor to be eligible to apply to become a core disciple. Everyone was shocked. The 7th level low-level elixir master is a master in the Elixir Master Academy in the 4 major empires of the mainland. He enjoys the admiration of thousands of people. However, in this Elixir Master Tower, he is only a disciple, which makes everyone feel proud. It was hard to accept for a while. You must know that in the entire northwest of the continent, there is only Benjamin, a 7th level elixir master. And in places like the territory of chaos, there is not even a 7th level elixir master. This shows how difficult it is. Gao, it is an extremely difficult process for a spiritual master to advance from a 6th level high-level spiritual master to a 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master, and so is the spiritual medicine master. However, most of the people present were just spiritual masters, that is, a few people such as Jason, Melting Saint, Dini Shah and Sri Lanka were the ones who needed to pay attention to the conditions of the core disciples, so the people were only surprised. Under the leadership of Wat, Jason and others were quickly taken to the interior of the Elixir City. Under the processing of the staff, each person received a card of their own. The cards for peripheral disciples like Sri Lanka and others are white, while the cards for Temujin and several other inner disciples are cyan. As for the cards obtained by Jason and Melting Saint, they are red cards. This card is your pass certificate in the Elixir City. Everything you will do in the Elixir City from now on will use this card, so I hope you can keep it properly. Now, you all follow me. We will take you to a good place. And it will also be the first gift we give you when you enter the Elixir Medicine Tower. After everyone had registered, Wat immediately led Jason and the others towards the interior of the Elixir City. Go. Under the leadership of Wat, Jason and others continued to go deep into the building. At the beginning, they could still see people entering one after another, but by the end, the surrounding people gradually disappeared. Obviously, they came to a place that ordinary people would not enter. At the moment, Jason and the others are in a stone passage. There are some exquisite patterns carved around the passage, giving it a majestic feeling. Where is this Master Wat taking us? I don't know. Has any of you heard about where we will go if we join the Alchemist Tower? Master Wat said before that it was a good place, and it was the Alchemist Tower. The first gift given to us should have some benefits, right? Many people were talking and looking confused, but more of them looked full of expectations. The gifts and good places that Wat mentioned are definitely, it should be worth looking forward to. Even Jason, filled with curiosity, walked in the team. The passage was extremely long. After walking for a while, they came to the end of the tunnel. What appeared in front of them was an empty hall. In the center of the hall is a giant circular pool with a diameter of hundreds of meters. The water in the entire pool is gray-brown and exudes a strange and pungent smell. Beside this large pool, there is an old man wearing a black robe, his eyes are shining, his face is cold and extremely serious, and behind the old man, there is a row of staff wearing white robes, each of them has a hand in his hand. All holding a wooden box. Guardian Anino, all 39 contestants in this batch have arrived. Master Wat said to the other party. Yeah. The old man hummed softly, and then his sharp eyes were like a sharp knife, passing over everyone's face one by one, and said, then let's get started. As his words fell, the 8 staff members in white robes standing by the pool all opened the wooden boxes in their hands, and then threw the contents of the wooden boxes into the huge pool. Among the 8 items in the wooden box, some are black powder, some are red crystal blocks, some are cyan roots, some are brown ores, etc. They are all different. Hashtag the gray-brown pool water, which originally exuded a strange smell, boiled instantly, and a large amount of gray-brown mist continued to rise, forming lines of mist, floating in the sky above the pool water. Gurgling. The water in the pool kept boiling. This is the spiritual transformation pond. You guys can stay here tonight. You all can go in now. Master Wat said. Ling Chi-Chi? Everyone looked at each other with doubts. Jason looked at the continuously boiling spirit-changing pool in front of him. With his knowledge of elixirs, he could naturally tell that this spirit-changing pool should be similar to the wood spirit pond he had prepared to treat Loken's wood spirit body. One type of thing is some kind of external medicine that can bring certain benefits to the spiritual master's body. However, before Jason understood the ingredients in the spirit-changing pool in front of him, he still didn't know what effect it had. Don't worry, this spirit transformation pool is made by the secret method of our spiritual medicine master tower. It can bring great benefits to your body, increase your body strength, and improve your meridians and muscles. Seeing the hesitation of the crowd, with such a look, what couldn't help laughing? Those who don't want to enter can go back now. On the side, Anderno looked dull and said indifferently. At the edge of the pool, everyone looked at each other. Leonardo and Sophia jumped out of their bodies and fell directly into the spirit-transforming pool like two streams of light. When the other players around saw this, they all jumped in. Jason and Claire also joined the group and jumped into the spirit pool together. Plop! 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 The sound of falling into the water came one after another, and a total of 39 players, like dumplings, all entered the whirling pond in an instant. The waves splashed everywhere, and the water in the spirit transformation pond looked boiling and steaming on the surface, but in fact the temperature was not very high, just like soaking in a hot spring. Buzz! The water in the spiritual transformation pool flowed strangely, forming small whirlpools one after another, surrounding 39 contestants including Jason. At the same time, dazzling brown lights bloomed in the pool water, and a large amount of gray-brown mist bloomed, whistling towards the 39 people in the pool. Countless gray-brown air currents are running like pythons in the spirit transformation pond. These gray-brown air currents are rushing towards the 39 entrances, just like silkworm cocoons. The gray-brown air currents are pouring in continuously from the cocoons. What a special feeling! As soon as he entered the wooden spirit pool, Jason felt a large amount of energy surrounding him, as if he was trapped in his mother's belly. The strange energy gently penetrated into the body from all parts of the body. My whole body was numb, but I felt comfortable. What kind of materials are added to this energy? Jason's eyes widened as he felt the strange energy seep into his body. Jason was not too surprised when he first heard what Navit said about the spirit transformation pond's ability to improve the physique of spiritual masters. In his previous life, he was a 9th-level elixir master who pioneered the art of spiritual elixirs. The violent spiritual master knows him very well, and he knows too much about improving physical fitness. Although he is only a 6th-level senior spiritual master now, his physical strength has reached the peak of the 8th level. This is an extreme state. Jason understands that as long as he takes one step further, he will be able to step into a saint-level body, but he also knows how difficult it is to step into a saint-level body and how rare the materials required are. It is definitely not something that the spiritual medicine master tower can provide them with so many soul-changing pools to enjoy. If it were that simple, Jason would have already entered the saint level. Therefore, in Jason's mind, this spirit pool may have some effect on other people present, but it is of almost no use to him. But when he entered the spirit transformation pool, he was completely stunned. Although the energy contained in this spirit transformation pool cannot continue to improve his body in terms of intensity, it is transforming his body from another angle. This is a unique transformation. Jason can feel that his body is undergoing some kind of transformation. Although the strength has not broken through the 8th level peak and entered the 9th level holy level, it has continued to improve in flexibility, stretch and other aspects of transformation. Just like, if the spiritual master's body is a bucket, and the strength depends on the amount of water that can be loaded in the bucket, Jason's body was promoted to the peak of the 8th level during the Yaolei body forging realm, that is, the capacity of the bucket has been improved. But now, the energy in the spirit transformation pool is not transforming the capacity of the bucket, but the material of the bucket. According to Jason's physical strength, it is constantly transforming his body, transforming the original wooden bucket into a steel bucket. And even alloy barrels. Those energies are constantly penetrating from the surface of the skin, whether it is the muscles, meridians, nerves, and blood, and even the bones are penetrated. Even the eyes and skin are numb, and from the inside out, every part of the body is changing. Jason was in an absolutely relaxed state, both mentally and physically. The main hall where the wood spirit pool is located is very large, with a length and width of 200 to 300 meters, and a height of nearly 10 feet. Especially on the top of the main hall and the surrounding walls, there are countless spiritual power formations engraved on it, exuding a faint aura. The light obviously prevents the flow of the special power in the pool. Gurgling. The spirit transformation pond kept boiling. At the edge of the spiritual transformation pond, both Wat and Newell left. As the guardians of the spiritual medicine master tower, they naturally would not stand here stupidly looking at Jason and the others, and the remaining 8 white-robed people. He was resting on the side, watching the absorption and transformation of these 39 contestants. The absorption of this spirit-transforming pool can take as short as 1 or 2 hours. For those with higher levels and higher physical strength, it will take even midnight. A red-haired man in white robe shook his head and said, "The 2 guardians have gone to rest, we still have to stay here." A sturdy young man with red hair and white robe next to him smiled and said, "When will you become a member of the Guardians? You can do the same." "Me? Become protector?" The red-haired and white-robed man said helplessly, "Wait until I advance to the 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master. It has been almost 20 years since I was promoted to the 7th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Master. I have not even reached the peak of the 7th level. I have been promoted to the 8th level. Emperor Spirit Master, it seems that there is not much hope. Now there are only 1,000 chores. I can earn more points. When the time comes, I can also exchange for some treasures. It's not bad. We have a lot of errands in one night. Points, I don't want to exchange them for any treasures, I just want to stay on the trial island for a while, huh?" At this moment, the sturdy young man suddenly said in surprise, "How come you got it so quickly? Stop absorbing the energy of the spiritual transformation pool? Aren't the people who join the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower this time the winners of this Continental Elite competition? Even the 5th level Zoneling Master level body will not absorb the energy of the spiritual transformation pool. Is it saturated so quickly?" The sturdy young man had a puzzled look on his face. The red-haired white-robed man and the other 6 white-robed men present who were talking to each other all turned their heads to look. "I saw that in the spirit transformation pond, the surrounding area of a brown silkworm cocoon had stopped absorbing gray-brown energy, and the brown silkworm cocoon was constantly trembling." Snapped. The brown silkworm cocoon quietly cracked open, and a rich gray-brown water mist that almost turned into substance dissipated, containing extremely huge energy. In the mist, a woman wearing a red robe stood with a puzzled face. "Stand up. Didn't Master Wat say that this spirit-transforming pool can change one's physique? Why don't I feel any change at all?" In the pool, Claire had a confused look on her face, and she murmured doubts. Seeing the thick gray-brown mist around Claire, the 8 people in white robes at the edge of the pool were also stunned. "The woman in front of me didn't absorb even a little bit of the energy in the spirit transformation pool. What on earth is going on?" The spiritual transformation pond prepared by the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower is actually a unique external medicine that can transform the physical strength of the spiritualist. No matter how high the spiritual master is, he will absorb a large amount of spiritual energy for transformation in the spirit transformation pool. According to each person's physical potential and strength, the length of time it takes to absorb energy is also different. Generally speaking, the longer the double retention time is, the stronger the physical strength of the spiritual master, the better the qualifications, and the greater the potential. When Wat and Ryan led everyone to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, the reason why they kept everyone running, constantly consuming the spiritual power in the body, was also to allow everyone present to absorb the energy in the spirit transformation pool at this moment, can be carried out more thoroughly. However, Claire's situation made all the 8 men in white robes supervising next to the spirit transformation pool stunned. From the gray-brown energy escaping from the cocoon that Claire transformed, the 8 men in white robes who have been working in the spirit transformation pond for a long time can all see that the energy has entered the cocoon from the spirit transformation pond before, and has not been absorbed by the other party at all. In such a situation, this is the first time that these 8 people in white robes have met since they started this job. Even a first-level spiritual disciple or even an ordinary person will absorb the same amount of energy in the spirit transformation pool. A little bit of energy, compared to the strength of her own body, but this Claire couldn't absorb any energy in the spirit transformation pool, which made them all confused. "I'm going to inform Protector what?" a man in white robe said and walked outside. Under the doubtful eyes of the remaining 7 people in white robes, Claire had no choice but to walk out of the spirit transformation pool. The fire spiritual power on her body surged, and a mist suddenly rose from the originally wet red robe. For a moment, after a while, the clothes became dry, but they still had a unique medicinal smell. Soon, Wat and Anino were back at the spirit transformation pond. After learning about Claire, after the situation, he immediately checked on Claire. Wat and Andnuo are both 7th-level elixir masters. And Andnuo is a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. But in their perception, they couldn't find out what happened to Claire. Unable to absorb the energy in the spirit transformation pool, the reason can only be attributed to his special physique. After Wat and Anino arrived, they left quickly, leaving only 8 white-robed men and a depressed Claire sitting cross-legged next to the wood spirit pond, practicing. An hour passed, and one of the 38 cocoons remaining in the wood spirit pond also stopped absorbing the gray-brown airflow. Then, the brown cocoons began to tremble. Pop! With a subtle explosion, the brown silkworm cocoon melted away. A young man wearing a blue spiritual master's robe stood up from the spirit transformation pool with a face filled with surprise. Among the 39 people who joined the spiritual medicine master tower this time, the lowest level was Sri Lanka, the 6th-level intermediate spiritual master. As the person with the lowest level, his physical strength is naturally the weakest, so the absorption time is also the shortest, and he wakes up first. My body, Sri Lanka looked at his hands with surprise on his face. Running all day today had exhausted the spiritual energy in his body. He was so sore and exhausted at this moment, his body seemed to be reborn, full of vitality and passion. And the meridians that were originally a little swollen and painful due to the constant circulation of spiritual power are now full of vitality and extremely flexible. "Boy, come up and wait by the pool." The man with red hair and white robe was full of surprise when he saw Sri Lanka. He stood in the pool blankly and shouted, "Yes, yes." Sri Lanka made a sound, and then jumped into the pool. After using his spiritual power to dry the clothes on his body, he suddenly saw a figure sitting cross-legged in the corner next to the hall. "Claire?" Sri Lanka said immediately, and then the two sat cross-legged together, waiting for the others. As time passed, very quickly the cocoons in the Hualing pond burst open. At the beginning, Songhua those who came out of the spirit pool were all 6th-level high-level spiritual masters. Immediately afterwards, the cocoons where some low-level 7th-level imperial spiritual masters stopped absorbing energy and walked out. Everyone's faces were filled with joy, feeling the changes in their bodies, and they were sitting cross-legged by the pool, practicing. Immediately afterwards, the cocoons where Dini Shah, Temujin, Rong Sheng and others were all burst open and woke up one by one. Look, there are only the last 3 left. The other 36 have already come out of the spirit transformation pool. When everyone entered the spirit transformation pond at the 3rd hour, when Melting Saint came out of the wood spirit pond, only Leonardo, Sophia and Jason were left in the cocoon. It has not been broken. Everyone's eyes are focused on the 3 large brown silkworm cocoons in the center of the Hualing pond. A large amount of gray-brown airflow is still flowing towards the brown silkworm cocoons, but the brown silkworm cocoons are like a bottomless pit. Come and smoke as much as you want. TSK, two of these 3 cocoons should be the 2 intermediate-level Imperial spiritual masters. The 8 white-robed men present also know something about the many players who joined the Elixir Master Tower in this Continental Elite competition. When they saw the other 36 people, they knew that among the remaining 3 cocoon-swallowing people, 2 of them they are Leonardo and Sophia, who are 7th-level intermediate Imperial spiritual masters. It should be the 2 of them, 7th-level intermediate Imperial spiritual masters. Their physical strength is much stronger than that of lower-level Imperial spiritual masters. No wonder it was able to absorb the energy of the spirit transformation pond for such a long time. But it's been 3 hours now. It's almost time to think about it. By the way, who is the last of these 3 cocoons? At this moment, a man in white robe asked. The last one? The remaining 7 men in white robes all glanced at the 36 people by the pool. One of them said with some uncertainty, "It should be the one named Jason, right?" Jason? Are you talking about Jason, who won the Continental Elite competition with the rank of 6th level Senior Spiritual Master? Unlikely, a man in white robes had a look of disbelief on his face. It's Jason, he won the championship of the Continental Elite competition. I just looked at him specifically and said, he's not among the 36 people. The young white-robed man with striking ears affirmed. Then Jason is a 6th level Senior Spiritual Master. Why, everyone was surprised. The energy of the spirit transformation pool is based on the physical strength of the spiritual master. Generally speaking, the higher the level of the spiritual master, the higher the physical strength. Except for the very special Claire at the beginning who cannot absorb the rest. The 35 players all woke up from low to high according to their levels. But Jason, a 6th level high-level spiritual master, woke up later than the low-level 7th level Imperial spiritual master. This made these people in white robes confused. The strength of a spiritual master is generally related to many factors. It is not unusual for low-level spiritual masters to leapfrog and defeat high-level spiritual masters. However, in terms of physical strength, low-level spiritual masters are much more powerful. He is stronger than a high-level spiritual master, which is a bit hard to believe. After all, in the spiritual master system of Stern Continent, there is no special training of physical strength. The focus of all spiritual masters is generally only on the continuous accumulation of spiritual power in the body. Just those 8, when the white-robed man's mind was full of doubts, he just heard "bah." Snapped. 2 subtle explosions came. In the spirit transformation pond, 2 of the 3 cocoons exploded almost at the same time, and 2 figures stood up in the spirit transformation pond at the same time. Of these 2 people, one is Sophia, who is wearing a white robe and has a beautiful and holy appearance, and the other is Leonardo, who is wearing a black robe and has sharp eyes. Jason Broken is actually the last one. The 8 men in white robes couldn't help but marvel. The physical strength of a 6th level senior spiritual master is even more exaggerated than that of a 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master. Could it be that this Jason is born with divine power? A man in white robe couldn't help but mutter. It's possible. The rest of the people were shocked, and then they suddenly realized. No wonder this Jason can win the championship of this Continental Elite competition. He really has a way. You should be stronger than ordinary people since you were a child. These 8 people in white robes have defined Jason's abnormality in their hearts. They once encountered a member with natural divine power. With the level of a 7th level low-level Emperor spiritual master, his physical strength is comparable to that of a 7th level Emperor spiritual master. The high-ranking Imperial spiritual master had to stay in the spiritual transformation pond for nearly 4 hours before he woke up. But even if Jason is born with supernatural power, now that the 2 7th level intermediate Emperor spiritual masters have awakened, Jason should be about the same. The red-haired and white-coated man said. As he said, these people were still paying attention to the only brown silkworm cocoon in the spiritual transformation pond at the moment. As for the other 37 people, they were all practicing cross-legged by the pond, taking advantage of the opportunity that their bodies had just gained to transform, to improve their strength. Time passes, it's almost 4 hours, are you still absorbing? After waiting for a long time, the white-robed people around the spiritual transformation pond couldn't help but start talking again. Shichichi, the gray-brown air flow, continued towards the brown cocoon where Jason was. The brown silkworm cocoon rejects all comers, constantly absorbs these gray-brown air currents, and the energy of the magical spirit pool pours into Jason's body in an endless stream. But Jason's body muscles and bones, how much energy comes, how much energy is absorbed? My whole body is shaking. Jason felt very comfortable. He felt that the strange energy penetrated deep into his body and resonated with the energy all over his body. He was completely immersed in it. Everything around him was at this moment. I can no longer sense it. It's been all night. The friends in white robes around the soul transformation pool were all horrified. I remember that the longest absorption time in this soul transformation pool was just 1 night, but he was still a 7th-level senior emperor with unique attainments in physical strength. Spiritualist. The sturdy young man couldn't help but exclaim. At this moment, Jason, in the time he absorbed, has already tied the highest record for new members of their spiritual medicine master tower. But Jason is a 6th-level senior spiritual master. Even if it is a natural divine power, it is not so powerful, right? No one can understand it. What a pervert. I don't know how long it will take Jason to absorb it before he stops. Several people in white robes couldn't help but uttered, wondering in their hearts. At this moment, the strangeness here also attracted some players who had stopped practicing. They all came over in surprise and stared at the whirling pond. There are still people absorbing it. It's Jason I, a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, only absorbed it for more than 2 hours before I felt my body was saturated, but this Jason, what a pervert. These players were also talking with their faces, with speechless expressions on their faces. Fortunately, they all watched Jason win the championship from the mainland elite competition. Although they were surprised and shocked, they were already used to Jason's abnormal behavior and could still accept it for a while. In the spiritual transformation pond, streams of gray-brown energy continued to flow, pouring into the cocoon where Jason was. I don't know how long it took, but when the water in the brown spirit transformation pool even became lighter, the cocoon where Jason was located finally stopped absorbing the energy in the pool. 2 hours in 1 night. The 8 white-robed men looked at each other with shock and envy in their eyes. The longer it is absorbed, the stronger the body's quality and the greater the benefits obtained. The herbs in the spirit transformation pool are secretly prepared by the spiritual pharmacist tower. Generally, they can only be absorbed once. If you want to absorb them for the 2nd time, they will have no effect. Therefore, Jason's fate made them already stay in the spiritual pharmacist tower. A member who has been a member for a very long time also has a hint of envy. At the same time, these 8 people were also extremely shocked by the time it took Jason to absorb it. They had heard before that the person with the longest absorption time in the entire spirit transformation pool was a 7th-level senior with extraordinary talents and extremely abnormal physical fitness. The Imperial Spirit Master only absorbed it for 1 night. But this Jason took longer to absorb than that person, which shocked the 8 white-robed men. It would be okay if Jason was an 8th-level Imperial Spiritual Master, but he was clearly a 6th-level Advanced Spiritual Master. This is unbelievable. Bang! Just when everyone was shocked, in the spirit transforming pool, the brown silkworm cocoon where Jason was sitting suddenly made a subtle explosion. Then, the entire silkworm cocoon quickly cracked open, and a young man with long black hair slowly stood up. This feeling Jason murmured in the spirit pool, and his spiritual sense quickly felt in his body. At this moment, whether it was the skin on his body, the inside of his muscles and bones, or his internal organs, there seemed to be countless extremely subtle energies trembling and jumping excitedly in his entire body, full of incomparable vitality. Every cell seems to be breathing fresh air and rejoicing. The energy in the spirit transformation pool has been completely integrated into every part of Jason's body, integrating with his 8th level peak body. It seems like every cell has come alive. Jason felt incredible. Under the transformation of the energy in the spirit transformation pool, although his physical strength was still at the peak of the 8th level at this moment and had not improved, in essence, it had already great changes. A wooden bucket and an iron bucket both hold the same amount of water, but in fact, they are very different. In layman's terms, Jason's body's ability to resist blows at this moment has qualitatively changed compared to before. His bones and muscles have become more resistant to blows, and the flexibility of his meridians has also undergone earth-shaking changes in being able to withstand the impact of spiritual energy. This material for preparing the spirit pool, feeling the magical changes in his body, Jason immediately carefully sensed the materials for preparing the spirit pool. But when he sensed this, his expression suddenly changed. Based on his strength as a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, although he has not returned to his peak state in this life, he can now at least be regarded as an 8th level elixir emperor master. However, with such terrifying strength, he is unable to fully perceive all the material contents and types in the spirit transformation pool made Jason couldn't help but be surprised. He could only feel the 11 materials and their specific contents. There were about 2 or 3 types left, but he couldn't tell them apart. Could this formula for the spirit pool be a 9th level holy level formula? Jason speculated in his mind, then shook his head. The 9th level holy level formula is extremely rare and extremely powerful. According to Jason's previous observation, this spirit-changing pool can be enjoyed by every member who joins the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. In terms of efficacy, the level of the spiritual transformation pond should not be so high. Jason was confused. He recalled the shape and appearance of the materials that the 8 men in white robes poured into the spirit-changing pool from the wooden box. He also recalled the strange smell and dust emanating from the spirit-changing pool that he had seen at the beginning. Brown pool water. Possibilities kept passing through Jason's mind. Materials were constantly matched and combined, and eliminated based on medicinal properties and pharmacology, but Jason's brows became more and more frowning. 13 materials, indeed 13 materials, but why do I feel that the individual medicinal properties in the soul-changing pool are 14? What is the other one? What went wrong? Is it cross-property or mixed diffusion? Factors in the medicinal properties? For an elixir master, when he encounters an elixir he doesn't understand, what he wants to do most is to crack it. At this moment, Jason is like a man who has seen an extremely difficult mathematical problem. The mathematician's mind kept racing, trying to solve this problem. Jason frowned, his eyes full of thoughts, looking at the light brown water in the spirit transformation pond. Lingwachi, Chishui, that's right. Jason's eyes suddenly lit up. That's it. There was a hint of joy on his face. This pool of water is not an ordinary spring water. This kind of medicinal property should be the morning dew that splashed on the dragon rock crystal in the morning. It is just a potion of elixir. No wonder it has 14 medicinal properties. No wonder. These 14 materials are combined with each other, and the various medicinal properties are integrated. This spirit transformation pond is indeed extraordinary. Put the 14 materials together. After passing through his mind one by one, Jason finally had a complete understanding of the principles of the spirit transformation pool. It has to be said that there are still experts in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Jason sighed in his heart. The person who could combine these 14 materials so perfectly and develop this spirit-changing pool must be a master of elixirs with extremely profound attainments in elixirs. Don't underestimate the spirit transformation pool. There are only 14 types of materials, but they are perfectly integrated with each other, making it extremely difficult to distinguish. Only he, a pioneer in the art of spiritual medicine in his previous life and a ninth-level spiritual medicine master with nearly 3,000 years of spiritual medicine knowledge that surpasses this era, can distinguish all the materials in the spiritual transformation pool, otherwise he is considered a master. An 8th-level high-level elixir emperor would never be able to distinguish all the 14 materials. This spiritual medicine master's tower, with hidden dragons and crouching tigers, is really extraordinary. Finally, Jason couldn't help but sigh in his heart, his eyes twinkling, and at the same time, he felt a trace of incomparable expectation for learning in the spiritual medicine master's tower. Hey, boy, if you wake up and come up quickly, don't you want to absorb the energy in this spirit transforming pool? This spirit transforming pool can only be absorbed once, so don't even think about it. Next to the spirit transforming pool, the red-haired man in white robe saw Jason standing in the spirit transformation pool in a daze after waking up, and immediately shouted loudly. They did not doubt that Jason was analyzing the composition of the spirit pool. In fact, even if they knew that Jason was analyzing, they would not stop it. This spirit transforming pool is said to be a secret method prepared by the master of the spiritual medicine master tower. There have been countless genius elixir masters who joined the spiritual medicine master tower from some big families on the mainland, trying to figure out the ingredients of this spirit transforming pool, all returned in vain, and it was even more impossible for spiritual masters like Jason, who participated in the mainland elite competition and joined the elixir master tower, to tell the difference. In fact, even they themselves did not know the formula of this spirit-changing pool at all. However, what these 8 white-robed men never imagined was that countless big families on the mainland had tried their best to analyze, but in the end had no choice but to find out the formula for the spirit-changing pool. But it was completely analyzed by the so-called champion of the competition in front of him. In the spirit transformation pool, Jason jumped up and came to the main hall. In the main hall, Leonardo, Sophia, and others all looked at Jason with expressions like looking at monsters. What a pervert! Someone muttered, but everyone nodded in agreement. The 8 men in white robes also took another look at Jason and said, "Since you have all absorbed it in the spirit transformation pool, then come with me." A group of people in the crowd immediately followed behind the man in white robes, walking towards the outside of the hall along the same path as yesterday. Has the absorption been completed? In the main hall outside, Jason and others saw What and Enrino again. Enrino stared at Jason in surprise for a long time. It was obvious that he had heard it from someone else before. Learned about Jason's situation. Okay, now that all of you have absorbed it, let them take you to your respective residences. Master What said. Under the leadership of 8 white-robed men, Jason and the others dispersed and were taken to their residence. In the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, the places where each member lives are also different depending on their status. As senior disciples, Jason and Rongxing came to the senior disciple area, while Temujin and the others were in the inner gate. In the area where the disciples are, Dinisha, Claire, and Sri Lanka can only be in the area where the outer disciples are. Each area has a large row of buildings. Senior disciples like Jason and the others each have a house with small laboratories and training rooms. Of course, these are the most basic. For real preparation and practice, there is a special place in the Elixir Master Tower. Under the leadership of the man in white robe, Jason randomly found a house, and Rongxing also found a residence close to Jason's house. After taking Jason and the others to their residence, the man in white robe left. Jason immediately looked at his residence. It was a 2-story villa with all the facilities inside. After putting all the daily necessities in his space ring into the residence, Jason sat down. Sitting on the chair in the room, I began to read the member handbook that the staff had given everyone during registration. Trial Island, Trial Secret Realm, these are the places where members in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower practice. If members want to prepare spiritual potions, or want to purchase any materials or spiritual potions, they can go to the first floor of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Trade in the lobby. As he read, Jason gradually understood the rules of the entire elixir tower. The Spirit Medicine Master Tower is actually an extremely loose structure, just like those academies on the mainland, and does not restrict the freedom of students. In the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, the average training period for members is 5 years. After 5 years, they can officially leave the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Similarly, if it is less than 5 years and the Imperial Spiritual Master has been promoted to the 7th level, he can also leave. Alchemist Tower. Members who leave here will generally be given certain positions when they return to the mainland. Depending on the individual wishes of the members, they are usually the presidents of the Elixirs Union where the college is located. If they don't want to be in charge, they can also become the president of the Elixirs Union in the area. Honorary President. Generally speaking, the vast majority of spiritual masters and elixir masters will choose to leave, but there are also some members who want to continue practicing and learning and will choose to stay in the Elixir Master Tower. The most important thing for members in the Alchemist Tower is points, or it can also be said as contribution. Here, everything must be exchanged for points, including trial time on the trial island, the opportunity to enter the trial secret realm, and the purchase of skills, materials, elixirs, etc. Here, as long as you have points, you can do anything. Pervert. Looking at the point function mentioned in the member's handbook, Jason couldn't help but be speechless. In this manual, it is shown that as long as you have points, you can do anything, including 7th level materials, 8th level materials, all kinds of rare treasures, even 7th level imperial elixirs, and even 8th level imperial elixirs. Level spirit potions can be exchanged. Of course, the points required to redeem the Imperial Elixir and the Imperial Elixir are all at a sky-high price, but it also shows how wealthy the Elixir Tower is. There are also some powerful star-level skills, even moon-level skills, various spiritual weapons, and treasures that can be redeemed as long as you have enough points. While Jason was reading the member handbook, the other players who joined the Elixir Master Tower also looked at the member handbook after arriving in their rooms. Oh my god, these treasures can be redeemed with any points. This Spiritual Medicine Master Tower is too scary. Everyone's eyes widened, their faces filled with incomparable shock. For example, some of the treasures listed in the member manual are extremely coveted treasures, not to mention some small families on the mainland, but even the big families on the mainland. For example, the 7th level Imperial Elixir, even if it appears in the auctions of the 4 empires, were all hot and bustling scenes, but here, they could be redeemed with any points, which shocked everyone. A roll of moon-level skills, even among some of the top families in the mainland, is extremely precious and is used to be passed down to generations. However, here, it can be redeemed with points. But the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower also stipulates that consumable items, such as spiritual potions, rare materials, spiritual cores, etc., can be traded by members when they arrive on the mainland, but like some inherited treasures, for example, powerful skills and the formula of a certain elixir can only be used by the members themselves, and members are strictly prohibited from exchanging or auctioning them. Once discovered, the Elixir Master Tower will kill the member regardless of his identity. In the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, points are like spiritual coins that are used daily, and there are many ways to obtain points. You can sell materials to the Alchemist Tower, you can also complete some tasks assigned in the Alchemist Tower, or you can solve some problems posted by the members themselves in the Alchemist Tower, or even, like those white-robed people, you can replace the alchemist. Points will be earned for tower work and even for membership upgrades. In the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, points are like spiritual coins from the outside world, but they are much more precious than the spiritual coins from the outside world. They can be exchanged for many treasures that cannot be exchanged in the outside world, but they can only be used in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, and they cannot be used. Exchange. After browsing through the rules of this item, Jason's eyes were filled with excitement. Although he was a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, he was only one person after all, and the years he had grown up were also very short. All the materials on his body were only exchanged for elixirs on the mainland when needed. Or ask some people to help find it, but this spiritual medicine master tower is the top and largest force in this era. Here, there are treasures collected by countless people and spent countless years. The quantity and quality of treasures from heaven and earth are simply not what he alone could compare with at the beginning. This also shows that if Jason wants to prepare some elixir, unless it is some treasure that is too precious, even the elixir tower does not have it, or it is a treasure that he is unwilling to trade, otherwise he does not have to worry about the materials at all. The problem, what you need to worry about is whether you have enough points. Dong dong dong. While Jason was thinking, there was a sudden knock on the door. Jason opened the door. Master. Rongxing's excited voice came in, waving the member manual in his hand. You can redeem any treasure, Master, it's incredible, so wonderful. Rongxing was extremely excited. Master, do you want us to go to the trading hall now to see what treasures there are? I can't wait. Rongxing's eyes were fiery and he spoke excitedly. But we don't have points yet, right? Jason couldn't help but said. As a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, although he was also excited, he was still extremely calm. We are senior disciples. Senior disciples have 100,000 points from the beginning, inner disciples have 50,000 points, and outer disciples have 10,000 points. Rongxing opened the member manual to the last page, and sure enough, there the last page states that any new senior disciple who joins the Spirit Medicine Master Tower will receive 10,000 points for free. Let's go. Jason nodded, and then he and Melting Saint walked directly towards the elixir tower in the center of all the buildings. Jason and Melting Saint were very fast, but it took quite a while before they arrived in front of the elixir tower in the center of the building. This is an extremely majestic tower, covering an extremely huge area. The top of the tower soars into the sky and disappears into the clouds, making it impossible to see how high it is. When Jason and the others first arrived here yesterday, they were already shocked by this high tower, but now when Jason and the others actually came to this high tower, they discovered that this high tower, no words can, it is impossible to describe its majesty and grandeur. The tower seems to grow directly from the ground, and no traces of repairs can be seen. The appearance of the whole tower is extremely simple, and an inexplicable momentum rushes towards the face, telling the history and vicissitudes, making people feel fearful. Heart of. In front of the tower, the simple stone door, carved with complex spiritual patterns, was open, and pedestrians continued to come in and out, making it very lively. Following the flow of people, Jason and the others quickly arrived in the hall. The entire hall is extremely huge, somewhat similar to the trading center of the City of Chaos. There is a huge service desk in the middle, and there are rows of counters around it. It is not comparable to the trading center in the territory of Chaos. Jason and others went directly to the trading area of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower on the first floor, inserted their red identity cards into the instrument, and then clicked on the spiritual power screen next to them, and a series of categories immediately appeared on it. Exercise skills. Spiritual skills. Weapons. Elixirs. Materials, and many other categories. When you click on the major category of materials, various different material subcategories such as alchemy materials, elixir materials, and weapon materials appear. Jason then clicked on the elixir materials, and the screen was divided into categories such as first-level materials, second-level materials, third-level materials. Jason clicked on the 7th-level material again, and saw densely packed text and pictures suddenly appearing on the screen. 1 7th-level gold spiritual core, 80,000 points. Inner disciples and above can redeem it. 1 7th-level wood spiritual core, 75,000 points. Inner disciples and above can redeem it. What appeared in front of Jason at first were ordinary 7th-level basic materials such as spiritual cores and spiritual crystals. According to the rarity of each series of spiritual beasts, the difficulty of killing them, and the price are also different, but they are basically between 70,000 points and more than 100,000 points. As for the 7th level spiritual cores and spiritual crystals of the special series, the price is extremely high. Jason scrolled down again, and the 7th level materials appeared one by one. At the beginning, they were all basic 7th level materials, but later on, they turned out to be some rare 7th level materials. All appear in the catalog. Oh my god, it's incredible. There are so many rare alchemy materials here that are difficult to buy outside. On the side, Rongxing was also flipping through the pages, extremely excited. Suddenly, Jason's heart moved. He entered the 4 words, Cloud Mist Spirit Fruit, and then searched on the spiritual power screen. The subtitles flipped and then stopped. When Jason looked at it, he was stunned. I saw the above display, 1 Cloud Mist Spirit Fruit, 500,000 points. Senior disciples and above can redeem it, inventory, 2. Looking at the information flashing on the spiritual screen, Jason was stunned. After Renault's arm was broken, in order to prepare a 7th level Emperor level regeneration potion for Renault, Jason and his father Renault went to the territory of chaos and embarked on the road to find the Cloud Mist Spirit Fruit. The two went through many hardships in the territory of chaos. After suffering, he finally took the risk and finally obtained the Cloud Mist Spirit Fruit from Pierre, the leader of the Curie family. Then he prepared a regeneration potion during the challenge with Pierre and healed Renault's arm. He raised Renault's strength from the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master to the 7th level Intermediate level. With the strength of the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master after Renault broke his arm, and the strength of Jason, in the chaotic territory where the 7th level masters are like clouds, it can be said that they had to pull out their teeth and take great risks to find the Cloud and Mist Spirit Fruit. Once something goes wrong, they will be in danger and escape from death. This shows how difficult it was for Jason and the others to find the Cloud and Mist Spirit Fruit. However, in this spiritual medicine master tower, only 500,000 points can be redeemed for 1 Cloud Spirit Fruit, and there are 2 more in stock. This made Jason stunned for a moment. The difference between the two. Jason felt a huge impact. After a long time, Jason couldn't help shaking his fork and sighing, and finally he had a true understanding of the wealth of this elixir master tower. Next, Jason searched for a lot of materials, and finally he found that in the trading center of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, 7th level materials generally cost tens of thousands of points to hundreds of thousands or nearly 1,000,000 points, depending on their rarity. The 8th level materials range from hundreds of thousands of points to millions of points. As for higher level materials, they are not listed on the screen of this trading center. And at the same time, Jason also discovered that the level of materials that could be exchanged for each member was also different depending on their identity. Senior disciples like him can redeem any 7th level materials, but 8th level materials can be viewed but cannot be redeemed. Only core disciples and above can redeem them. Inner disciples like Temujin can exchange for ordinary 7th level materials, but some precious 7th level materials, such as Cloud and Mist spiritual fruits, are not authorized to exchange. And peripheral ones like Sri Lanka, the disciple even said that he could only redeem materials below the 7th level. Any materials above the 7th level cannot be exchanged. Maybe someone is going to say that a peripheral disciple cannot redeem materials by himself. Can't he give points to other senior disciples and give other senior disciples some commissions so that they can redeem materials? Answer: the answer is no. In the Alchemist Tower, this kind of behavior is strictly prohibited. Any member who redeems materials can only use it for himself and cannot transfer it to others, otherwise he will be expelled from the Alchemist Tower once discovered. This rule is also to allow members to work hard to improve their strength and strive to enter a higher level, so that members have the motivation to work hard. Of course, if a senior disciple redeems the materials, prepares some kind of elixir, and then sells it exclusively to other members, there will be no such restriction. Maybe someone else is going to say, "Didn't I tell you before? Can't members who exchange materials and materials be able to obtain them at external auctions? Can it be taken directly to the outside world for auction?" This point is not prohibited by the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, but Jason also discovered that for the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, this system not only does not cause a loss, but actually makes the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower a huge profit. In the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, any transaction can only be redeemed with points. Jason simply converted it. 1 point is roughly equivalent to 1,000 spirit coins in the outside world. If a 7th level gold spiritual core is auctioned on the mainland, the price is about 80 million spiritual coins, while here it is 80,000 points. However, if you take a 7th level gold spiritual core, if you come to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower to redeem points, you can only exchange them for about 60,000 points. However, if you use points to redeem spiritual cores, it costs 80,000 points. The price difference is about 20,000 points. The most important thing is that the Spiritual Medicine Master, the points in the tower, can only be obtained by using materials or completing various tasks and cannot be directly exchanged with spiritual coins. This also leads to the fact that if a member of a certain big family wants a certain treasure, he must first use a treasure. A large amount of materials can be exchanged for the points of the treasure, and then the treasure can be redeemed. But in this process, Elixir Alchemist Tower has actually made a lot of money. If you use this treasure for yourself, it's okay, but if you put it up for auction, you will actually lose money, because you spent a lot of money to redeem points. The total value of the materials exceeds the value of the treasure itself. At the same time, Jason also discovered that high-level disciples have different discounts when redeeming materials. For example, as a senior disciple, he can get a 10% discount when redeeming 6th level materials, while interface disciples must get all discounts. Price, core disciples want a lower discount. This system also allows all members in the Elixir Master Tower to work hard to practice and strive to obtain a higher disciple level. Moreover, the Elixir Master Tower also has a very user-friendly recruitment system, allowing lower-level members to have a certain chance to purchase high-level materials. In fact, the hierarchical system of the Elixir Master Tower is still very complete. For example, Jason's current senior disciples. Generally speaking, Elixir Masters. At this level are all Elixir Masters from the low level of the 6th level to the high level of the 6th level. For them, 7th level materials are the limit that can be prepared. Generally, 8th level materials are not used at all. However, if a senior disciple wants to use 8th level materials for some special reasons and has enough points, he can apply to the Elixir Master Tower for redemption and explain the purpose for which he wants to redeem the materials. If during the review, the Spirit Medicine Master Tower finds that the disciple really needs this material, it can exchange it as appropriate. But in fact, such opportunities are not big. Materials like 7th level and 8th level materials are extremely rare. It does not mean that you can have as much as you want. This is extremely important for any organization. And members, it cannot be exchanged. On the surface, it means that the level is not enough. In fact, it means that the member's contribution to the Elixir Tower is not enough. His own talent is not high. The Elixir Tower rarely gives such rare items to such people. Low-level disciple, no matter how much the low-level disciple needs it, giving such a precious treasure to a low-level disciple is a waste in itself. But nothing is absolute, and there is a certain probability that the application will be successful. This also shows the humanity of the Elixir Master Tower, but it only shows that there is a certain chance. What is really most important to the members is to improve their own disciples' level. This is what the Elixir Tower hopes for. In front of the spiritual power screen, Jason continued to browse the materials one by one, and at the same time, he was constantly thinking about the materials he needed. Now that he has reached the peak of the 6th level, he is just shy of being able to advance to the lower level of the 7th level, the Imperial Spirit Master. Originally, as a multi-system spiritual master, Jason wanted to advance from the peak of the 6th level to the low level of the 7th level should be an extremely huge hurdle, but now Jason has solved the legendary 8th level 5 elements path in the gambling crystal workshop. As a result, for Jason, who was a 9th level elixir master in his previous life, he had several ways to advance to the 7th level. For a while, one method after another kept passing through his mind, and finally settled on a potion. 8th level Emperor level spiritual potion and 5 elements of reincarnation potion. If you want to advance from the peak of the 6th level to the low-level Emperor spiritual master of the 7th level, the most important thing is to understand the laws of spiritual power and integrate yourself into the spiritual elements of the entire world. Among the 7th level Imperial elixirs, there are many kinds of elixirs that have this effect. For example, the 7th level Enlightenment elixir prepared in the territory of chaos allowed Renault to advance from the 7th level intermediate level to the 7th level advanced level. And the 6th grade high-grade Emperor breaking potion that Jason gave to Uncle Leo also had the effect of allowing spiritual masters to break through. However, after thinking about it for a long time, Jason still set his target on the most difficult 8th grade Emperor level spirit potion on top of the 5 elements reincarnation potion. The 5 elements reincarnation potion is an Emperor level spiritual potion that uses the legendary 5 elements Dao fruit as the main material. Its function is to integrate the fragments of spiritual power laws contained in the 5 elements Dao fruit into the body of a spiritual master and become a spiritual master. Part. It is based on the principle of the mutual generation of the 5 elements. As long as it is taken by any spiritual master with the attributes of the 5 elements, it will have great effects. There is even a certain probability that a 7th level high-level imperial spiritual master can be promoted to an 8th level low-level spiritual master. Emperor Spirit Master. This is a spiritual potion that takes full advantage of the efficacy of the 5 elements Dao fruit, but its preparation is also extremely difficult. Now that he has decided to prepare the 5 elements reincarnation potion, Jason immediately began to search for himself on the spiritual power screen, come with the required materials. Tianling Lu. Castor leaves. Fire Danstone. Shuiyukeo. White earth powder. Akawood ambergris. To prepare the 8th level Emperor level 5 elements reincarnation potion, a total of more than a dozen materials are needed, including several 7th level materials. The rest are mainly 6th level materials, and there are basically no low-level materials. If Jason were to look for them outside, I don't know how much time and energy it would take, and he might not be able to find them, but in this spiritual medicine master tower, they are clearly arranged on the spiritual power screen. More than a dozen kinds of high-end materials were found by Jason one by one. Except for the 5-color Hua, they can all be traded in the trading center of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. But when Jason listed all the materials together and calculated the price, he was completely stunned. 1,300,000 points. This is the total price of the materials Jason wants to purchase. Apart from the discounts he gets on some 6th level materials as a senior disciple, the actual points he has to pay are 958,000. Look at his identity card again. After collecting all the 100,000 points, Jason smiled helplessly. Jason has already calculated that in this spiritual medicine master tower, if 1 point is converted into spirit coins, it is about 1,000 spirit coins, and 100,000 points is about 100 million spirit coins. At the beginning, Jason was still giving away 100,000 points for free to each senior disciple of the elixir beta, which is equivalent to a wealth of 100 million spiritual coins. He was extremely shocked by the wealth of the elixir master tower, but when he saw after paying the points, Jason's heart was filled with bitterness. 958,000 points, if converted into spirit coins, would be about 950 million spirit coins. This is just for purchasing materials. However, the most important thing is that Jason cannot exchange spirit coins for points. In front of the spiritual power screen, Jason couldn't help sighing and shaking his head. In fact, he was not dissatisfied with the fact that the points for these materials were so expensive. Among the materials he chose, several were 7th level materials. It is not as rare as the cloud mist spirit fruit, but as long as the 7th level material appears on the mainland, it is a priceless treasure. The total price of so many materials is only 1 billion spirit coins, which is really not a big number. But Jason, who has just entered the elixir tower, besides the 100,000 points given away for free, how can he get any other points, let alone such a large amount? Moreover, even if he collects all the points, after purchasing all these materials, there is still a lack of the extremely important 5-color hua. The 5-color hua, which is a small hua that grows in places with 5 elements attributes, plays a role in the fusion of all materials in the 5 elements reincarnation potion. An indispensable submaterial for preparing the 5 elements reincarnation potion is a 6th level elixir. The price is actually not expensive, but it has a characteristic that it cannot be preserved. Once picked, it will wither within 2 hours. It is an instant elixir, so it does not appear in the trading center of the elixir tower. The growth of 5-color hua is extremely difficult. The reason why it is only a 6th level material is because its efficacy is not strong. It is rarely used in ordinary elixirs, but in terms of rarity, it is no worse than ordinary 7th level materials. This is an extremely huge expense, very difficult, and even if all the materials are gathered together, the 5 elements reincarnation potion is an 8th level emperor level elixir, so it is not so easy to prepare, and there are great risks. The 5 elements reincarnation potion is so difficult, should we prepare other elixirs? A trace of hesitation passed through Jason's heart. However, in just a moment, Jason was smashed to pieces again. In fact, the 5 elements every fruit on the Tao fruit contains law fragments. Jason can completely use each fruit to prepare an imperial elixir of that attribute, and then take all of his 4 attributes of gold, earth, fire, and wood at the same time. He is also the same imperial spiritual master who can advance every department to the 7th level. But Jason was unwilling. Although this kind of splitting reduces the difficulty of preparation and makes it easier to find the materials for preparing elixirs, it is actually a waste for 8th level materials like the 5 elements Tao fruit. In his previous life, Jason had not obtained the 5 elements fruit. Now that he had obtained this treasure in this life, Jason naturally wanted to maximize its effectiveness. Isn't it just 950,000 points? I still don't believe I can't get it. Jason secretly said in his heart, with a look full of confidence. In fact, the space ring in Jason's hand now contains a lot of rare materials collected from the 8 major families in the territory of chaos, although there is no 7th level material in it. Materials, but they are all 5th level and 6th level materials. If that doesn't work, Jason can sell the materials he collected from the 8 major families in the territory of chaos on consignment in this elixir tower, and he can also sell them for a fairly high price. Moreover, in Jason's space ring, there is also a bottle of 7th level spiritual emperor potion. This is the 7th level material rainbow essence that he exchanged with the Doomsday Dusk Adventure Group at the Spiritual Medicine Master Association when he was traveling in the Salem Empire. Formulated, its function is to allow a 5th level sect spiritual master or above to be promoted to a 7th level imperial spiritual master in an instant and maintain it for half an hour. However, this spiritual emperor potion also has great side effects. After the effect of the medicine wears off, due to the extremely expanded spiritual power and spiritual consciousness, the meridians and internal organs in the user's body will burst because they cannot withstand the heavy pressure. Then he fell instantly. However, Jason, whose physical strength has reached the 8th level of the peak Emperor Spirit Master realm, will naturally not be like an ordinary Spirit Master. However, after taking the Spirit Emperor potion, he will inevitably become extremely weak and unable to use it in a short period of time. With no spiritual power at all, he almost became a useless person. This bottle of spiritual elixir is Jason's biggest support when traveling outside, and it is also Jason's trump card. Taking it when he encounters danger will allow him to instantly advance to the 7th level of the Imperial Spiritual Master and defeat the enemy. But now Jason has he just wants to attack the 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master. If that doesn't work, he can only consign the 7th level Spiritual Emperor Potion. A bottle of 7th level Imperial Spiritual Potion can be exchanged for a lot of points, I believe. Enough to support him in purchasing these materials. Moreover, he can also purchase some low-level materials, and then prepare rare elixirs and sell them on consignment. Or he can answer some of the problems encountered by the masters of elixirs in elixirs. With his own strength and experience, here are 150,000 points. It may be difficult for ordinary people to reach the sky, but for him it is not an impossible thing. Just when Jason was thinking about it, suddenly, a burst of noise came into Jason's ears, awakening Jason from his thoughts. Jason turned his head and immediately saw Leonardo, Sophia, and Ironwood. Jean, Claire and others all walked out of the hall, and then walked towards him and Rongxing with excited faces. Master! Seeing Jason, Claire's face was filled with a smile, and then she ran over excitedly. This spiritual medicine master's tower is really incredible. No wonder so many geniuses on this continent want to enter this spiritual medicine master's tower. This Dini Shah and Temujin are just from the northwest. This is a small place, and I am completely unfamiliar with everything here. After seeing what was mentioned in the member handbook, I was shocked. On the mainland, high-level elixirs are extremely rare. Once they appear, they will attract countless people to bid and grab them. But here, as long as you have points, you can redeem them at will. The Sri Lankan and other players on the side were even more excited and speechless. Everything is available here. It is basically a paradise for elixir masters. Leonardo and Sophia are the only two people with smiles on their lips and calm faces. It seems that they have already understood the rules here. The two of them, coming from the two great empires of Wei Tian Empire and Saale Empire, actually do understand the rules in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower and Spiritual Master Tower. The reason why they chose to follow Jason to the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower was because they wanted to defeat Jason. At the same time, the system of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower was also one of the main reasons for their choice. The Spiritual Master Tower mainly cultivates spiritual masters, although there are also spiritual pharmacists. But the number is not comparable to that of the Spiritual Pharmacist Tower, which mainly captures spiritual pharmacists. As far as they know, in the Spiritual Pharmacist Tower, it is not at all like in the Spiritual Pharmacist Tower, where you can exchange what you need at will. Magic Potion. At this moment, in the hall, a group of people who entered the Elixir Master Tower because of this Continental Elite competition immediately started talking excitedly. They had always been competitive with each other during the competition, and they were at war with each other after they met. However, as winners, they entered the Elixir Master's Tower together and cherished each other. Jason, Melting Saint, you two are so happy. Senior disciples are rewarded with 100,000 points, but we only have 10,000 points. Dini Shah, who has always been steady, also pouted at this time. The gap is really too big, a full 10 times difference. Here, points are magic potions, magic skills, and techniques. Hey, I can join the Alchemist Tower and get 10,000 points for 10,000 points. Anyway, I'm satisfied. I didn't expect the conditions here to be so good. I'll have to take a closer look at what tasks are suitable for me here. I have to do it quickly. A few, earn some points and exchange them for a few bottles of elixir. A young man said excitedly. Stupid. Leonardo suddenly snorted from the side. Everyone was stunned and looked at him. What's not stupid about spending time on tasks? Leonardo looked at the excited young man with disdain. Temujin on the side also nodded and said, Leonardo is right. I advise you not to spend too much time on tasks. The purpose of setting so many rules in this elixir tower is to enable us to continuously improve our strength, these spiritual potions are just external conditions, the most important thing is strength. You are now the 6th level senior spiritual master. When you become the 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master, you can apply to become an inner disciple. Once you become inner disciple, will be directly rewarded with 50,000 points. Temujin said in a deep voice. With a steady mind, he remained calm in the excitement and saw the essence at a glance. Temujin is right, my goal now is to hit the high level. The Imperial Spirit Master has become a senior disciple and an inner disciple. Even some rare 7th level materials cannot be purchased. There is really nothing worth remembering, Leonardo said faintly. This guy. Seeing Leonardo's stinky expression, the other players around him were speechless, but they also knew in their hearts that what Leonardo said did make sense. Hey, aren't these some of the people from this Continental Elite competition? No wonder I said there is someone here who doesn't understand the rules so much that others can't feel at ease. It turns out it's these chicks. No wonder, no wonder. Right here. At this moment, a frivolous voice suddenly sounded in everyone's mind, and everyone turned around and saw a group of young people walking towards their friends, their faces full of disdain and sneers. This group of people were the same people who had just entered the spiritual world yesterday. When we were at Medicine Master Tower, the group of young people who laughed at Jason and the others on the street. Hearing these annoying words, everyone looked at the group of young people with disdain and contempt on their faces, and their faces immediately sank. When they were led by Master What to register on the street, they had no respect for these guys. The sarcasm was filled with dissatisfaction. Now when everyone was full of excitement about the rules of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, they heard this annoying voice again, and their excitement was instantly wiped out. It was interrupted. It was like Jason and the others were facing a delicious cake. When they were about to eat, a few blowflies suddenly flew over. Needless to say, they felt disgust in their hearts. However, although Temujin and the others were disgusted in their hearts, they still maintained a good attitude. They pretended not to see the group of young people and continued chatting with each other without paying any attention to them. For Temujin and his group of newcomers who have just joined the Alchemist Tower, many things in the Alchemist Tower are not well understood. When they enter a new place and are not fully familiar with it, they will conflict with others. It's really a very unwise thing to do. Haha, these spiritual masters have no courage at all, and I don't know how they got into this Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. That's right, they are just wimps. No, they are based on the strength of the eldest brother. We can't blame them for being afraid. Ha ha. Seeing that Jason and the others had no reaction, the group of young people immediately started laughing again, and scrupulously, and for a while, they attracted the attention of many people in the hall. On Jason's side, many people in the team are geniuses who can make all the difference in their respective forces. They were also the winners in the Mulu Elite competition held in the Twin Towers. When have they ever been so angry? Although in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower Zhong warned himself to be restrained, but the other party's arrogant words still made many people stare back with dissatisfaction. Hey, you seem to be quite tough. You brats, what are you looking at? Why do I stare at you, and I'll kill you if I stare at you again. How amazing are these people? His grandma is not convinced. You guys tortured me to death without any discussion. Just a few new spiritual masters, they really take themselves seriously. Several young people were cold again. Duo shouted loudly, but the disdain and ridicule on his face became even stronger. These guys said, a few players couldn't help but want to step forward but were stopped by the people next to them. In front of the spiritual power screen, Jason and the others frowned. The actions of the group of young people opposite were just deliberately looking for trouble. This made Jason very confused. Although they had just joined the spiritual medicine profession after all, the newcomers to the tower are those who won the mainland elite competition. The group of young people in front of them are not mediocre people who can join the Elixir Master Tower. They should not offend a large group of people like themselves, just for the so-called show of superiority. Making enemies easily, with such an attitude, they are either idiots, or they have their own unknown purpose. Although there are idiots in this world, since this group of young people can join the Alchemist Tower, they will not be associated with idiots. So what is the purpose of what they are doing at this moment? Jason couldn't help but think in his heart, while on the side Leonardo and Sophia obviously also thought of this, and they were full of doubts in their hearts. Trash is trash. Say it twice and he will wither, haha, these guys are not men, they are really a bunch of women, they can tolerate this. Seeing Jason and the others did not react, the guys not only instead of leaving, he walked closer, his expression even more arrogant and proud. What are you talking about? Who the hell is a pussy? On the side, several players with hot tempers finally managed to hold back their anger and did not take action. Under the provocation of these guys, they all exploded in an instant. Their faces were all red, their spiritual energy fluctuated as they took a step forward, and they shouted angrily. What? You want to take action? I'm talking about you, girls. Several contestants looked angry in the face of the provocation of several people. They almost took action, but were stopped by other contestants around them. This is the trading hall of the Elixir Tower. The manual states that members are not allowed to do anything. Several players nearby were also angry and wanted to beat up the people in front of them. There are dozens of people here, although the opponent is an old man in the Elixir Master Tower, there are only a few people. They don't believe that they will lose, and their expressions are very unwilling. If you are not convinced, let's go to the challenge room to compete. That's right, if you have the guts to go to the challenge room to compete, do you dare to challenge? Betting on points, do you have the courage? Although I haven't joined the Alchemist Tower for a long time, everyone knows the role of points here. When they heard the young people in front of them saying that they wanted to bet on points, the angry expressions of several players stopped and hesitated for a moment. Then his eyes fell on Jason and Leonardo behind him. Their points are all hard-earned. As the champion and runner-up in this elite competition, in the hearts of everyone, Jason and the others have unknowingly been regarded as the leaders of their own team and everyone's reassurance. Several young men sneered and said nothing. Instead, they looked teasingly at the players whose faces were red with anger. The disdain in their eyes was self-evident. Bet on points? In front of the spiritual power screen, Jason, who was still confused about the other party's actions at first, suddenly understood. His eyes suddenly burst into a light of excitement, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, before he could speak, Leonardo on the side had already taken a step forward and said before Jason how to bet. Leonardo's previously calm expression showed a hint of excitement at this moment. His move shocked Jason, and then a wry smile appeared on his face. It seemed that Kai is not the only one who covets the opponent's points. You are newcomers, we will let you can take as much as you can, but the competition cannot be less than 50,000 points. If it is too low, we don't bother to play. One of the young men said with a smile on his face. 50,000 points? Many players were shocked. This is not a small amount of money. Converted into spirit coins, it is almost 50 million spirit coins. Moreover, this is the Elixir Master Tower, and the importance of points is not just a mere spirit coin. Coins can be compared. Many people hesitated in their hearts. The other party's behavior was too arrogant. Combined with the competition the other party was talking about now, everyone was not an idiot, and they all figured out the joints in one go. The few in front of them are all old people in the Elixir Master Tower, and no one knows the other's strength. Although they were angry in their hearts, they had to be cautious in front of important points. What? You don't dare. It's okay if you don't dare. If you see a few of us in the future, just move aside obediently. Don't embarrass yourself there, a bunch of worthless guys. A young man sneered. If you don't have any points, you can work together with a few people. Even the peripheral disciples have 10,000 points, right? There are so many of you, but not even 5 of you are brave enough? Someone was pushing with words again. Who says we don't dare anymore? I'm here to play with you. Leonardo stepped forward with a sneer on his face. The eyes of all the young people in Zuanchuan all lit up, and they were quickly hidden, but they were still keenly captured by Jason. It turns out they are a group of guys who steal points from others. Jason sneered in his heart, but it's not certain who will steal points from whom. Although he understood in his heart, Jason still regretted not coming out immediately. The opportunity was given to Leonardo, but Jason was not worried. From the familiar appearance of these guys and the calm reactions of the people around him, it can be seen that such things are not uncommon in the Alchemist Tower. There are many opportunities. Okay, then let's go to the challenge room. Several young people sneered and immediately led the way to the outside of the Elixir Master Tower. Jason, Leonardo, and others immediately followed each other and walked outside together. After Jason and the others disappeared at the entrance of the whole hall suddenly became noisy. These guys from Reddy's are cheating newcomers out of points again. Every time a newcomer arrives, they do this trick. These guys have probably made everyone angry here. Humph, I have an eldest brother who is a core disciple, and he hasn't done anything illegal. Who cares about him? Those little guys, really, I heard they are the winners of this Continental Elite competition, right? Mainland elites in the competition, I really thought I was invincible. A bunch of little guys who don't know the bounds of heaven and earth. The right thing to do is to endure. You can't say that. Who can endure such humiliation? It's okay to suffer a little loss, let's go, let's take a look. The hall was buzzing with people. Many people rushed to the challenge room, while some others remained unmoved. As geniuses, they are all familiar with the Mainland Elite competition. Many of the disciples in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower have joined the competition held every 10 years. The previous champions are usually 7th level intermediate Emperor Spirit Masters. Although they didn't pay attention to it, they thought it should be about the same. Although Redis group was not too strong, only one of them who was promoted to senior disciples as Elixir Masters was a 7th level Senior Imperial Spiritual Master, but cheating on points was not a good idea. They have done a lot of things, and it is not something that a few newcomers can challenge. Many people are not interested in this kind of competition with a long-established outcome. However, Redis is going to compete with the new players in the Mainland Elite competition. Quickly spread in a small area in the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Some people are afraid to be interested, but there are still many people who like to watch the fun. They shouted and rushed to the challenge room. In the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, something like this, it's not very common for old people to bully newcomers. The Challenge Center is located on the south side of the Elixir Medicine Tower, in the south city of the Elixir City. This is an extremely huge building, majestic and glorious, guarding the south of the Elixir City and extremely domineering. In the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, a place with extremely fierce competition, the Challenge Center, as a place for spiritual masters to compete, is extremely popular and has a constant flow of pedestrians. At this moment, in front of a certain challenge room in the Challenge Center, a large group of people gathered around, talking a lot, because here, I heard that there was going to be a game between Redis group and a group of new disciples who joined the Elixir Master Tower. A competition. The Redis group is notorious in the Alchemist Tower. Every time a new person comes, they will go up immediately. When the other party is not fully familiar with the rules of the Alchemist Tower, either provoking them, inviting them enthusiastically, or humiliating them, using various techniques, the purpose is to get the other party to bet points with you. In the Alchemist Tower, points are absolute hard currency, and their accumulation is also quite difficult. However, when every disciple joins the Alchemist Tower, even the peripheral disciples will receive 10,000 points for free, and Ready What See and the others are targeting are the points in the hands of these newcomers. Many newcomers accidentally deceived their points after joining the Alchemist Tower. But although what Redis and the others did was outrageous, it was still within the rules of the Alchemist Tower after all. Even the competition between the disciples was what the Alchemist Tower expected, and every disciple was voluntary in the beginning. The other party has an eldest brother who is a core disciple. Although they are notorious, they have always been safe and sound. Now I heard that there are newcomers who want to compete with Redis and the others, which immediately attracted many people. Of course, what these people did was to watch how Redis and the others ravaged the new disciples and gave them the spirit. The first lesson at the Medicine Master's Tower. In front of the challenge room, a group of Redis people confronted Jason and others. I have 50,000 points here. Which one of you comes out to challenge? Leonardo stepped out, his face extremely calm, and he glanced at the people opposite. Humph, I'll let you be arrogant now, and you'll cry later. A group of people from Redis looked at the calm-looking Leonardo, and sneered in their hearts. Then they looked at Jason and the others and said, "Is this the guy? Are you willing to bet 50,000 points, but no one is in charge of the rest, and no one dares to bet?" In the challenge room, everyone was silent, and no one said a word. "I'll bet 60,000 points." Jason stepped forward in the crowd, smiling indifferently. 60,000 points? Everyone was surprised and looked at Jason in the crowd. This is not a small amount. Even these old people present can take out 60 million spirit coins, but they dare not take 60,000 points at will. Let's bet. What's more important is that Jason and the others have just joined the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. The 60,000 points are more than the 50,000 points owned by the inner disciples. So this Jason should be a senior disciple. The spiritual master wants to become a senior disciple, must be at least a 7th level senior imperial spiritual master. Is this black-haired young man still a 7th level senior imperial spiritual master? Everyone turned their attention to Jason and looked at him carefully. Even Lele Dis and the others were also shocked. Although they knew that Jason and the others were the winners of the Continental Elite competition, they, who had been in the Elixir Tower, did not know the information about Jason and the others too clearly. Knowing that the strongest among them was only an intermediate-level Emperor Spirit Master, he hurriedly came over. Time is really too tight. As the old people in the Alchemist Tower, they all know that once newcomers like these know the role of points, they will definitely spend all the points as soon as they are excited. Therefore, they need to arrive as soon as possible, and there is no room for them to conduct too detailed investigations. In fact, if they had not appeared in time, many of Jason and the others may have really consumed their points before. Even so, there were still many impatient players who lost part of their points. For example, the original 100,000 points of Rongxing are already less than 60,000. The items on the list are really too rare. In the past, it was difficult to buy them outside. Many people have been extremely excited about some items. It was difficult to buy, but here, there were free points to buy, so naturally, I made the purchase immediately. For a moment, everyone on the field focused their attention on Jason. However, after feeling the spiritual power fluctuations in Jason's body, they were all surprised to find that the black-haired young man in front of them had not even reached the 7th level of the Imperial Spirit Master, and should only have reached the peak of the 6th level. He is a 6th level spiritual master, but he is a senior disciple. Many people know that Jason, who won the elite competition, is still a 6th level elixir master. As for what level he is in the 6th level. But everyone still doesn't know. 60,000 points, that's great. Is there anyone else? A group of people from Redis said excitedly. I bet 5,000 points, said one player. I bet 20,000. Rongxing also said. I'll bet 20,000 too. Temujin also took a step forward. I'll bet 5,000. With Jason's first step, many people shouted loudly with a gambling mentality. For Clark, the 7th level senior imperial spiritual master of the Cairo Empire in the elite competition, they all defeated Leonardo. They were still full of confidence. For a while, everyone in the challenge room responded, which was spectacular. Redis and others were dumbfounded at first, and then they couldn't hold back the joy in their hearts. The faces were all smiles. The other onlookers on the side were all stunned, wondering why they, the newcomers who had just joined the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, were so brave. Didn't they know that they were facing a group of senior disciples in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower? An old man who has been practicing for a very long time. As Jason and others spoke out one by one, the staff in the challenge room immediately took the instruments and took their bets from everyone's ID cards. By the time everyone had finished speaking, the amount on the instrument already showed 250,000. These guys really dare to bet. Everyone nearby was shocked. Okay, great, haha. On Redis' side, they were all happy, and then without saying a word, they transferred 250,000 from their ID cards to the instrument. Thank you very much for giving us 250,000 points, Redis laughed loudly and then his face darkened. In that case, let the competition begin. After that, he immediately walked to the middle of the ring in the challenge room. Leonardo also followed, and Jason and others sat down in the large auditorium in the challenge room. The entire ring was extremely huge. The length and width are tens of feet, no smaller than the arena in Lingdo City. Master, is Leonardo confident in this competition? Besides, Rongxing asked. Jason smiled and nodded. Jason is very confident in Leonardo's strength. Unless it's someone who has a special fate in their soul, like an ordinary 7th level senior emperor. No spiritual master could stop the soul illusion brought by Leonardo's 6-headed fearful phantom spirit ring. Jason had already observed the opponent before. Except for the leading young man, who was a 7th level high-level emperor spiritualist, the others were all 7th level intermediate and low-level emperor spiritualists. Leonardo still had a big chance to win. I'm sure, if the other party thinks that Leonardo is just an intermediate-level imperial spiritual master, so he is so arrogant. That would be a big mistake. On the ring, Leonardo and Redis stood with their eyes intertwined, full of fighting spirit. Bit. A sharp voice sounded over the arena, indicating the beginning of the competition. Buzz. 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 As soon as the game started, several spiritual rings suddenly floated from Redis' head like lightning. His eyes were cold, and his big hand swung out violently, with his 5 fingers spread like 5 immortals. The divine rainbow shrouded Leonardo. Haha, die! Redis shouted. The terrifying wood spiritual power was like a huge wave. In an instant, Leonardo was completely wrapped up, overwhelmingly suppressing him. Will come down. Boom. The spiritual power is overwhelming. The dark green aura of spiritual power stretches across the arena. The dazzling brilliance breaks through the void. The air is hit with huge ripples. As soon as Redis took action at the beginning of the game, he displayed his own must-kill. I want to defeat Leonardo instantly with the strength of a 7th level senior imperial spiritual master. On the other side of the ring, Leonardo looked calm. As Redis launched his attack, he said, Buzz. A spiritual ring suddenly rose from Leonardo's head. At the same time, the phantom of the First Order Fear Phantom appeared above Leonardo's head, and an invisible spiritual wave quickly shot from Leonardo's eyes. He came out and quickly rushed into Redis' body on the opposite side. Before the First Order Fear Phantom disappeared, Buzz. Another spiritual ring emerged from Leonardo's head and floated behind his head. At the same time, another spiritual wave shot out from Leonardo's eyes and swept towards Redis on the opposite side. Buzz. Buzz. The third and fourth spiritual rings above Leonardo's head rose again. The phantoms of 3 fearful phantoms and nightmare beasts flickered, and 2 unique waves of telekinesis shot at Redis one after another. Under Leonardo's terrifying control, Redis' figure suddenly stagnated, but the attack in his hand did not stop and continued to fall. This Redis, against phantom attacks, is even more terrifying than the original Clark. However, in the ring, Leonardo never moved. After releasing the fourth spiritual ring, his eyes started to rotate like a kaleidoscope. Buzz. Another spiritual ring rose from Leonardo's head. It turned out to be a golden limit spiritual ring with transparent edges. At the same time, a huge, half-human, half-fish enchanting and beautiful woman with a human body and fish tail appeared on top of Leonardo's head. The enchanting woman's body was hovering, terrifying spiritual power was surging, and bursts of heavenly sounds came out of her mouth, which spread out in all directions and reached the ears of all the audience. However, before the audience could react, buzz. Another golden limit spiritual ring rose from Leonardo's head. At the same time, the shadow of the last spiritual beast floated above Leonardo's head again. The shadows of 6 fearful phantoms appeared. Under Leonardo's control, he launched the final attack on Redis on the opposite side. In the challenge room, the terrifying spiritual power was overwhelming, like a silent volcano erupting, spewing out unimaginable huge energy. In the raging spiritual storm, Leonardo looked calm. As the phantoms of the 6 spiritual beasts above his head flickered one after another, 6 ethereal spiritual attacks shot out of his eyes one after another like a series of arrows. This blow was related to 250,000 points for all players. At the beginning of the game, Leonardo showed his full strength. His eyes were sharp, like a sharp knife, piercing coldly towards Redis, not far away. Ripples of nothingness, containing powerful spiritual attacks, continued to sink into Redis' body. Is it a spiritual master of the fantasy system? For a moment, Redis' face initially had a relaxed expression. During Leonardo's attack, although the spiritual power on his body paused, the attack released, it was extremely coherent, and the bombardment continued. However, when he saw the phantom displayed by Leonardo's 6th-level spiritual ring, his eyes suddenly widened. Buzz. Under the amplification of the 6-headed fearful phantom demon spirit rings, the spiritual power containing the soul attack suddenly entered his body. Redis, who was originally burning with the terrifying wood-type spiritual power, saw the spiritual power on his body fluctuate. The zither went out. Did you succeed? Many contestants in the audience stood up suddenly, their eyes filled with excitement. They who had just participated in the Continental Elite competition still clearly remembered that Clark of the Cairo Empire, who had swept countless talented players as a 7th-level senior Imperial spiritual master, also used Leonardo's move in the semifinals. Next, was unexpectedly defeated. And now, Redis has also fallen into Leonardo's trick. Many people believe that Redis can never resist it. In the challenge room, Redis' expression was dull, his eyes were dull, and the spiritual power in the sky lost his control, like a flame that had lost its oxygen support, and quickly extinguished. As soon as the blow hit, Leonardo's face was expressionless, and there was no trace of relaxation in his expression. The long sword at his waist suddenly thrust out, and a dazzling brilliance cut through the void, hitting Redis hard. Above the body. Boom! With a huge roar, Redis' body suddenly exploded under the blow. In the smoke, something like a puppet appeared in the place where Redis was standing before, and but his body disappeared. What is this? What about Redis? How did he become a puppet? Everyone in the audience was surprised. In the challenge room, Leonardo's expression became even more solemn. His eyes were like lightning, and he kept patrolling the surroundings. Just as everyone was surprised, a terrifying spiritual power condensed in the challenge room again, forming a terrifying dark green spiritual light, and then aimed at Leonardo's location and bombarded him. Leonardo's eyes instantly shot out 2 dazzling rays of light, and he looked at the corner of the challenge room. The spiritual ring above his head trembled, and a mental wave flew away. At the same time, the long sword in his hand once again gathered a crescent-shaped sword ray. With a sharp sound of breaking through the air, flying towards the corner. However, he still slowed down a beat, and the dark green spiritual light came to him in an instant. The suffocating spiritual power came down, the space was distorted, and the unspeakable terrifying spiritual power hit him hard in an instant. On him. Pfft. A mouthful of blood spat out from Leonardo's mouth. His body was like a kite with its string broken, flying heavily and landing outside the ring line in the challenge room. I didn't expect that your strength is so strong. It's no wonder that you are an intermediate-level Imperial Spiritual Master in the fantasy system and can win in the mainland elite competition. However, trash is trash. In front of me, no matter who you are, you can't escape the ending of failure. You, a newcomer, still want to challenge me, Redis. It is simply a fool's dream. In the corner of the challenge room, Redis' figure slowly appeared, with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Leonardo's figure, before under the final attack, Redis also suffered considerable injuries. However, his face was full of pride at the moment. It was dead silent. In the auditorium, where Jason and others were, there was no sound at all. Everyone looked at the proud Redis standing there with unwillingness on their faces, unable to believe their eyes. Leonardo lost? Leonardo actually lost? The 6th level Fear Phantom Spirit Ring has a soul attack. Why is it not effective against Redis? The puppet before, what exactly is it? Everyone was puzzled, their hearts were shaken, and more importantly, they felt heartbroken for the points they had lost. Although 5,000 points is only equivalent to 5 million spirit coins, it is a big blow to newcomers like them who have just joined the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. Haha. On the other side of the audience, the group of young people burst out laughing, with proud smiles on their faces. Guys, although you are the players who stood out from some mainland elite competition, it is better to keep a low profile in our elixir tower. It will be good for you to spend some points to buy a lesson. Haha, ha ha ha. Because they won the points, the words of those young men before were not as unpleasant as when they were irritating at first, but in the hearts of everyone, it was like cutting with a knife. In the audience, Jason and others stood up and helped the injured Leonardo up. This Redis, that puppet is weird. My spiritual consciousness has definitely locked him before, so there is no way it can go wrong. Leonardo's mouth was bleeding, with a look of reluctance on his face. Jason and others all looked at the puppet on the side of the challenge room, and Redis was slowly picking it up. This is a puppet as big as a palm, with a complex spiritual array engraved on it, which is constantly flowing with the energy of the wood system. It is vivid and lifelike. Master, this is. As he got closer, Rongxing could see the shape of the puppet clearly, and his eyes widened instantly. It's a stand-in doll. Jason's face was gloomy and his mouth was cold. Referee, this Redis is cheating. This is a stand-in doll. Why did it appear in the competition? After receiving Jason's affirmative answer, Fusion Saint immediately shouted excitedly. His eyes were red and his expression was excited, which caught everyone's attention. The stand-in doll is a product of alchemy. It is a 7th-level alchemy item and is extremely rare on the mainland. When the spiritual master is attacked, it can block the attack for the spiritual master and divert the target of the attack. As an alchemist master, Fusion Saint is naturally very familiar with him, but stand-in dolls are alchemy products. However, according to the duel rules on the mainland, in addition to the main weapons of each player, other auxiliary items are generally not allowed. For example, taking spiritual potions, wearing high-quality spiritual armor, etc. are not allowed, and the same is naturally true for stand-in dolls. Redis' previous behavior was simply cheating. On the side, the other contestants also started to shout loudly after learning what the stand-in puppet was. At first, they thought the puppet was some kind of magic skill of Redis, but they didn't expect it to be an alchemy item. Suddenly, everyone was excited and shouted that Redis was cheating. What is it called? This is a good substitute doll, but it is allowed to be used in competitions. A bunch of bumpkins, they really have never seen the world. They don't even understand the rules, and they come here to compete. It's ridiculous. Come on. After hearing the shouts of the players, the young men immediately sneered. Are you kidding? This is a competition. How can alchemy items be allowed to be used? Damn it, you guys cheated. It's so shameful. Referee, where is the referee? Could it be that the alchemist tower doesn't care if they cheat? The contestants were not to be outdone, and the crowd was excited. They roared unwillingly, pointed at each other, and cursed. What's the fuss about? At this moment, the staff from the previous challenge room came over, holding the pair of gambling points instruments in their hands, and snorted coldly. Referee, that Redis cheated and used a stand-in doll in the previous competition. Melting Saint said. The staff member glanced at Jason and his group of players and said coldly, "This is the B-level challenge room. You can use alchemy items in the competition. Only in the level challenge room, you cannot use any auxiliary items." This what is a B-level challenge room, a level challenge room, we don't know about it. Rong Xing and the others were all stunned. They never expected that the use of auxiliary items was allowed here. I don't know, then what are you doing here to challenge? Go back and take a good look at the rules of the challenge center. A bunch of idiots, they just accept the challenge without knowing the rules. What idiots? Haha, these new people who joined the Elixir Master Tower, they are so funny and happy, my stomach hurts from laughing. Facing the astonishment of Rongxing and the others, the group of young people burst out laughing, their faces full of pride, and they were full of ridicule and the meaning of ridicule. Alas, the young man who accepted the challenge earlier turned out to be a phantom spiritual master at the intermediate level of the Imperial Spirit Master. Almost, just barely. Did you see that guy's spiritual ring? If it wasn't a stand-in doll, the loser is very likely to be Redis and the others. What a pity, a group of newcomers were tricked by Redis and the others. Next to them, many members of the Elixir Master Tower shook their heads and sighed. Regarding Leon's previous Nado's performance was a bit surprising. Those who can join the Elixir Master Tower are not mediocre people. They can all see that if it were not for the stand-in doll, Leonardo would almost have won. The six-headed fear phantom is so famous that everyone is know the horror of it. On Jason's side, the faces of all the players darkened. At this time, they all understood what happened and that they had been tricked. RO.